Why why could God make a flood only for one city?
with waves as big as mountains.
How you can say God gives you a free will, but in the same time He has a prepared destiny for you.
Allah's knowledge of what the outcome will be has no effect on what the result of the test will be. Does you knowing that they can do it have an effect on them being able to do it?
I think it's 1 minute or so. It's not a big thing.
Go ahead.
Why in the Quran is so much violence?
I got one rule. Let's be respectful. Go ahead.
Okay, I was eating right now. I have one question regarding Noah, as I wrote.
Okay.
Why could God make a flood only for one city?
Okay.
Because in Islam, for my knowledge concern, it is written that the flood was not worldwide. It was only particular in one particular place. Is it right?
No, the Quran doesn't say that.
No.
The Quran doesn't
No,
specify
really not.
the Quran doesn't specify the entire world directly, like it doesn't actually come out and say it. But it also never says that it was one city. In fact, the description of the flood.
But one area. But it was not worldwide.
It doesn't specify. The Quran does not specify where the flood took place. It's expected that it was a worldwide flood in Islam. That's the most logical understanding, most common understanding, I should say. And that's because, I mean, the Quran, the way that it phrases the event, it says, وَهِيَ تَجْرِي بِهِمْ فِي مَوْجٍ كَالْجِبَالِ. And the ship...
Okay, I'm not Arabic.
I'm going to translate.
It doesn't make sense.
I'm going to translate. Patience.
Yeah.
So I have to use the Arabic to remember it properly, so I can word it and phrase it properly off the top of my head. So, and it is going with them. I think it's talking about the ship, right? Sailing, the ark. It's sailing with them. تجري بهم. It's walking, moving with them. في موج كالجبال. With waves as big as mountains. So that would imply bigger than just a small area. So that's my answer.
Okay. Great. For my knowledge concern, I discussed this topic today. Sorry, my English is not so fluently like yours.
No worries.
But
you speak very well. What
okay,
language do you
if
speak?
you don't understand me, then let me know.
Are you German?
Anywhere from this.
Maybe a German accent, but that's fine. I have German relatives. That's why I'm asking.
He doesn't care.
It doesn't matter.
Who cares? My point is, I discussed this topic today with one imam, something like that.
Okay.
And he told me it was a particular area, and that's why I come to you.
Okay, so
because I switched, and
okay, so
that's why. But you tell me some other thing. You tell me that it was a big flood and it covers the world, so it's something different. Because
okay. So
I'm confused right now.
I'll give you another example why I hold to the other opinion. Again, we don't have anything in Islam definitely saying that it definitely happened one way or the other. Okay, but I'll tell you why I lean toward that it was a worldwide flood. When Prophet Noah was telling the people to get on the ship, as the signs of the beginning of the flood came, right, as the water started to come out of the earth and it started to rain and the flood began, he called upon his son. And this is a difference in the story in the Quran versus the Bible, where in the Bible his sons go with him. In the Quran, one of his sons, at least, stays back, refuses to get on the ship. And he says, قَالَ يَا بُنَيَّ ارْكَبْ مَعَنَا وَلَا تَكُنْ مَعَ الْكَافِرِينَ. So, oh my son, come ride with us, come on the ship with us, and don't be among the disbelievers. And he says, قَالَ سَآوِي إِلَى جَبَلٍ يَعْصِمُنِي مِنَ الْمَاءِ. He said, his son said, I will...
Don't understand Arabic, you can leave it.
I can't leave it, because that's how my brain functions. That's how it is. Take it or leave it. I use the Quran as Allah said it.
It's useless.
I use that's fine. You're not the only one listening, and that's how my brain functions. I can't go off the top of my head. I don't have it memorized in English. These
Okay, I
verses,
see.
I don't have them memorized in
Okay,
English, so I said them in Arabic.
I'm
So I
with
can
you.
repeat
I'm
them.
with you. I'm with you.
All right. So he says, قال سآوي إلى جبل يعصمني من الماء. He said, I will seek refuge in a mountain that will protect me from the water. And Noah responded, لا عاصم اليوم من أمر الله. There is nothing that can protect anyone from the order of Allah today. Okay? So the Prophet Noah tells his son, get on the ship. The son says, I will seek refuge in a mountain up high. And Noah says, nothing can save you from this, the order of Allah, that this flood is going to happen. You will not be saved no matter where you go. So that's another evidence that I would say it's probably a world flood, and that makes more sense for the understanding. Now,
Yeah,
again,
for me too.
So we're in agreement.
For me, it makes also sense. Yeah, that
Now,
it was a worldwide flood. Otherwise, it's stupid from God to do that.
Well, what God does is up to God. I don't. I use
No,
better,
if he makes
I use
one
better,
flood
language.
one city,
I use better language.
it's not rational.
When I speak to God, I at least allow for myself and my rationale to be lesser than Allah's rationale or Allah's wisdom. So, regardless of what my opinion is, my language is more respectful to God, that I allow for Allah to use His wisdom, and I recognize that His wisdom is above my own. So I wouldn't use that language. I think it makes more sense by understanding.
It means
the
Allah knows more than everybody.
Yes, that is.
But then he don't do anything rational for us, which everybody can understand why he does it.
No, I still say,
why he done it.
I still say it makes sense. Obviously, I gave you the interpretation. I think, and this is my understanding, that those who hold to the opinion that it was a partial area that had the flood, those people that say that or think that, I think they say that because they're trying to somehow align themselves with there not being absolute direct evidence of a worldwide flood that happened simultaneously. And I think that's not necessary. So, like when someone says, well, we don't have evidence of a worldwide flood, or if there was evidence, then this is what it would definitely look like, I disagree with that argument. And I don't like making the verses sound like something that they don't necessarily sound like, just to
Okay, I'm with you. I understand.
To make false evidence. I don't
so
think that's necessary.
You believe in a worldwide flood?
Personally, I believe that's
to
the
conclude it.
That's the
okay,
case.
Okay. I'm with you. Yeah. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense, you know. Otherwise,
I don't think it does either.
Perhaps I coming from German,
that's
and
you know,
from let's compare it with America.
I agree, and I think that
New York City and.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I said I agree.
If you compare
I would say that I think my understanding, the understanding that I carry, is most in line with the text itself, and I don't have to do these strange reaches to make it more understandable. So. But I do leave here out of the proper positioning of my intellect versus the knowledge of Allah. I allow the final word to go to Allah, and I remain in the. Though I think I'm correct, I could be wrong, and though others I think are wrong, there's a small chance that they're correct in their understanding. But I'll leave it at that. Just out of my own human limitations.
Okay. Okay, I'm clear so far. Thank you for your opinion.
Sure. Did you have any Did you have any other questions? Anything about
in fact, but perhaps I can't explain it properly because my vocabulary is not so.
Don't worry about it. If you want to try, I'll try and help you along with it. Look, as long as you're respectful, I'm not going to be offended if that's what you're worried about. You can say however you want it, whatever.
I never insult anybody.
That's very good. That shows that you have good manners.
Okay.
So go ahead. Feel free to attempt to ask. If I understand the question, I'll try to help you.
I have a second question. Yeah. From my case, I'm with you in Noah's opinion. The story is that it was a big discussion, and this was such a point where I can't understand that guy. But one other question, he has another opinion, that too, like you. But one other question is, if God knows everything, and if he created you, And he knows what is your beginning and your end. Why you are living and how you can explain there is no free will. So the main point is you have any destiny which is how to say
I know destiny. That's fine.
which is okay.
Like God's
If you have
control
one,
over me.
God says yes,
Okay.
exactly. You're with me. Great. How you can say God gives you a free will, but in the same time He has a prepared destiny for you. It
Okay.
doesn't make sense for me, you know.
Very good. That's very good. Let's try and break that down a little bit. First of all, we do believe that God gave us free will. Let's just be clear on that. And that we also do believe that the things that happen around us that are outside of our control are in God's control, right? And He puts us in a position that we are to be tested. So, and then so I'm just clarifying what the position is, and then I'll tell you how it makes sense. The other part of the question was, what you started was, what about God's knowledge? He knows everything. So what's the point of the test?
Pardon.
Right?
Sorry, I don't catch your last sentence, please. Once
You
again.
started the question with, what about Allah's knowledge, right? So Allah knows everything. God knows everything. And if He knows everything, then how is it a test for me if He knows what I'm going to do afterwards? Is that what you're asking?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah, but predestination and your own will.
right. How do they fall? How do they fall together? Right. How do they?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, this is my question.
Very good question.
Yeah, you got me.
That's a very good question, and I think that question is one of the reasons so many atheists exist. They don't understand. They can't make that understanding. So I don't know if you believe in anything or not. If you're a deist, if you believe God exists or not, but so many people who are like on the fence, they're agnostic, they don't know, they're not sure, or they're atheists, they have a problem with this specific question. And I think it's very important that it needs to be answered. And here's I'm going to give you a couple demonstrations. You sound like a very educated person. I'm assuming you've been through school, right? So if I use an example from school, you'll be able to relate. If a teacher gives students a test, and throughout the entire year, the whole semester or the whole year, the teacher has been observing the students and seeing how they study, what they know, what they don't know, where they have difficulties, where they don't have difficulties. At the end of the semester, the teacher gives these students a test to, like on the final exam. Are you familiar with such a thing? They have those in Germany, I'm sure. Are you there?
I'm with you. I
Yes,
understand
okay.
what you mean.
Yeah,
Still,
so when the teacher gives them that exam, does that suggest that the teacher doesn't know the situation of each student? Does that suggest that the teacher can't tell who's going to pass and who's going to fail?
this is a secular answer. It doesn't make sense, you know.
It doesn't make sense? Well, let me show you. If the
You know what?
teacher,
No, for me not. Better one other example perhaps.
okay,
But
well,
because that doesn't make sense. If I study and before the test, my teacher tell me you're not good enough. But if I study quite
Beautiful.
properly and I prepare myself so I can pass the test and better than perhaps anybody else. So it's not. It doesn't catch the point.
No,
you
no,
know?
no, no. That's my point. I'm actually getting to that point. If the teacher knows who knows the topic and who doesn't know the topic before the test is given, then the teacher can, by their own knowledge, because we're using the teacher as the example, but we're assuming that they have the knowledge because God has the knowledge. If the teacher doesn't give the test at all, doesn't pass out a test, and decides this student doesn't know it, this student knows it, I'm going to pass this student, I'm going to fail this student, then the students that fail will stand up and say, but you never gave us a test. That's not justice. We have to at least let us try and take the test. Now, then the teacher says, okay.
Yeah, where is the justice? This is my final
Yes,
point.
exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, but you
So,
come before
but here's-
my final. My final point.
This is the point, exactly. So the teacher has to give them the test, and then the outcome will still be what the teacher knew was going to happen, because this student knows, this student doesn't know, and the teacher knows which student knows and doesn't know. But they have to go through the test so that on the day that the report cards are given out, the degrees are given out, or in the case of Allah, the day of judgment, Allah can say to them, look, I gave you the test and you failed. I knew you were going to fail, but you failed, even though I gave you the test.
Everything is predicted. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense, or?
The knowledge.
You have no free will.
Here's the thing: the knowledge of the teacher of who's going to fail and who's not going to fail has nothing to do with the teacher giving both students the same opportunities, the same study material, and the same abilities to study, and the same amount of time to study, where he says, look, I'm giving you everything you need in order to pass. Now pass. It's up to the student to choose to study or not. Now this teacher who knows this student studied, this student doesn't study, has no effect on the outcome of the test. The knowledge of the teacher has no outcome on the student. Likewise, وَلِلَّهِ الْمَثَلِ الْأَعْلَى, to Allah belongs the highest example. Allah's knowledge of what the outcome will be has no effect on what the result of the test will be. It's up to you to pass the test.
I understand your point.
Okay.
But what's the meaning of life then? You know, why you not straight away you go to hell? Then we have here only heaven on earth. Perhaps I don't want to insult you, but
No.
or for example me, if I'm not faithful enough, or I don't make too much prayers or whatever, then he will send me to hell. Okay, but what the sense of life? What is the sense of life? Why you're living on earth?
Very good. Allah tells us the answer. So this question is a good question. You can try to contemplate and think what the purpose of life is outside the existence of Allah. If there's no creation, then your answer is this life is random. There's no point to this life. It's all randomness. That's what you end up with being, right? And that in its origin is illogical. To say it just all happened randomly, nothing started anything, it just all popped into existence, the universe, our life, humanity, it just happened with nothing causing it to happen. That's illogical.
No, this is not my.
I know it's
not
not.
my point.
I know, but I'm just telling you where it leads. Like the other option is this,
Okay,
or
Yeah.
there is a creator. Okay, so why did the creator create us? For that answer, we need to hear what the creator tells us. Like the creator actually has to tell us why he created us, right? And in the Quran, once we've established that it is in fact the word of Allah, we know that Allah tells us in the Quran why and how and the sequence of events that took place in order for us to exist, like why we were created. He tells us outright that Allah created the jinn and mankind to worship him, right? And he tells us, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ, I have only created the jinn and mankind except to worship me. And then خَلَقَ الْمَوْتَ وَالْحَيَاةَ لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. He created life and death to test us, which among us are the best, who will do the best, right? Who will act the best. So this is the reason we're here. This is what our purpose is on this life. But he also tells us beforehand. He says that he offered, Allah Azza wa Jal, he offered, إِنَّا عَرَضْنَا الْأَمَانَةَ عَلَى السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَالْجِبَالَ فَأَبَيْنَ أَن يَحْمِلْنَهَا. So he offered the amana, the trust, right? He offered the religion, the deen, the trust. He offered it to the heavens and the earth and the mountains, and they all refused to take it. وَأَشْفَقْنَ مِنْهَا, and they were like afraid of it, like just keep it away. We don't want to bear this burden, right? And then he says, yeah, right, because this test is, the outcome could be very severe, right? It could be hell. But then he says, وَحَمَلَهَا الْإِنسَانِ, but mankind carried the burden, accepted the test, accepted this trust. All right? Now, Allah tells us that the test...
Not so far.
Sorry?
Not so far. This point I don't catch it.
He tells us, Allah tells us that when it was offered to his different creations, he offered it to mankind, and mankind accepted this trust, accepted the challenge, if you will. Like, I'm using my own terminology there. Like, this is a test, this is a challenge, this is a trust that I'm going to entrust with you, and you have to come out on top. Do you accept this challenge? And mankind said yes. And we're very eager, right? إن الإنسان كان عجولا إنه كان ظلوما جهولا, or ظلوما جهولا. Right. So we're very eager, and we put ourselves in difficult positions. We do tend to commit injustice to ourselves, but we did it because on the outfall, the result of this is that we would be elevated. If we pass the test, we will be elevated to the highest level. And if we fail the test, we will be put in the lowest levels, right? So we would be elevated above all creation if we pass the test.
So, no, wait. That I want to get it. So let me repeat. There is no free will, but there is free will.
I never said there was no free will. There's always been free will.
Yeah.
Okay?
No, you said there is free will, but God knows.
Yes.
So there is one.
I told you God's knowledge has no effect on the outcome. Okay? Now, it has no effect on free will itself. Okay? Your free will is still intact, even if God knows the result.
Okay.
And I'm showing you the process. Like the example of the teacher that gives the same material to study to all the students and gives them all the ample time they need to study. Likewise, Allah gave all of mankind all the faculties they need to find the truth. Allah gave all of mankind the resources and the knowledge they would need to find God and pass His test. And He put them all in different situations. Perhaps He gave them, like you could use the example, He gave them different questions on the test. Like, my tests is different than your test. But it's nothing that I cannot do, and your test isn't anything you cannot do. You can still find the truth and choose good. To clarify a little more, I could be tested, for example, on my way to work, I could have a car accident.
Everybody has his own test, you can say.
Exactly.
Like that, or?
Right? How I react to my test dictates the result of the test. My reaction. Your test is given to you, and how you respond to your test dictates the result for you. So in that sense, we're all different, but we are all given the opportunity and the ability to pass and succeed the test. Where there are things outside of your control, and this is the other part of your question, is, well, if Allah knows and He's in control of everything, then how can we choose? How do we have free will?
Yeah, I'm with you. I understand you.
Yes.
I understand you.
The second part of it is Allah controls things that happen around you. We lie in two, let's say, two circles. We live in two circles in terms of the actions around us, our actions, our lives. One circle that we live in is the things that happen in spite of us, things that we have no control over. Like, I have no control over when my heartbeat starts and stops. I have no control over someone else running into me. I have no control over night and day. I have no control over so many things. These things that are outside of my control, I am not responsible for. But Allah has given me a second circle where I interact with all these things around me, and I choose how I act. And that is where Allah holds me into control. Now, in the case, and just this is the extra part, in the case where something that I am made to choose, and I'm trying to do the right thing, but it's made impossible for me to do the right thing, I have no choice but to do the wrong thing. Allah then tells us even further in the Quran, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها, that Allah does not burden a soul with what it cannot bear. So if you cannot uphold the rule of Allah, if you cannot give the right answer on the test, then Allah doesn't hold you to it. He doesn't mark it off as bad. He lets it go, right? And He knows your heart, that your intention is to do the right thing. And that's what He would judge you on when you can't make the right choice. Is it clearer now?
But then there is no. But in this case, there is one. Then he can't say where is your end. You know. You know what I mean? If he makes you several tests and he proves you, in the end, he should know or he don't know.
Oh, he will know. He knows. He knows.
Even
it's
he
like.
knows.
Do you have children?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say you take your kid to the park and they're playing outside, right? And your son or your daughter, they're playing on the monkey bars. They call them the monkey bars here, like the bars where they go with their hands from one to the next. Are you familiar with
Yeah.
that? Okay. As a young child, maybe they're afraid to do it. They're afraid they're going to fall, right? And you say, it's okay, you can do it. I know you can do it. And you encourage your son to do it, or your daughter, right? Your child. And they start to do it, and they make it all the way across. Once they're there, you tell your child, see, I knew you could do it. Right? I knew you could do it. Otherwise, you wouldn't have told them to do it. You don't want them to fall and hurt themselves. But you say, I knew you could do it. Right? Does you knowing that they can do it have an effect on them being able to do it?
Similar question. Yes.
I'm sorry?
Okay. No, it's a similar question. You know.
Right. So in other words, your knowledge of your son's ability to pass, to do it, has no effect on whether they actually can or not.
Sometimes I try to force them to do some things which they don't expect that they can do.
Right. So what you do is, what do you do? You put them in the position to try it. Now here's the thing. Here's the thing. Likewise, if your son or daughter went 1, 2, and stopped, you know they can keep going, but they decide to stop. They choose not to do it. You say,
the same way I know that they can do it.
Yes. So you say, in this case, if you know that your son needs encouragement to do it, then you know that on their own they will not do it. You put them in the position, all right, go ahead and start. And you know that your child is afraid. And if you leave him to his fear, he might get the courage to do it, and he might get the courage to hold back. You know your child best. You know what type of decision the child will make. But despite the decision the child despite the decision the child makes as to whether they try it or not, you know they can. So Allah knows you can pass the test, and He knows if you will try it or not, but you can. And He leaves it up to you to try or not, to take the test, to pass the test or not. Does that make sense? I'm trying to use
yes, in any case, not. But this example was better than the other.
All right, I'll try to use this one more often.
This is more practical.
I'll try to use this one more
or logical or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, but it makes more sense for me. Okay, but yeah, even that. If I know my daughter can fall down or.
Now here's the thing: if you knew,
she can or she cannot, whatever.
If you knew that they could not,
if I'm a god, then I know the destiny. You know, she will get it or not.
Right, but that's the whole point. You know, if your child has it, will decide to try or not. But you know, either way, they have the ability to decide to do it. And if they decide to do it, if they can or not. Now, if they cannot do it, if you know that they cannot do it, then you don't hold them. Then Allah doesn't hold them accountable for it anyway. It's too much for them to do. They actually cannot. And because they actually cannot, if they decide they're not going to because they cannot, or if they try and fail, you're not going to hold them accountable for it. You're not going to say, you should have been able to do it. You should have been able to pass.
Yeah.
That's the case.
If they're disabled or whatever, I'm with you. Okay.
So there's a difference between the knowledge of Allah and our choices and our free will.
So let me take it in my own words.
Go ahead.
So it means, may I repeat perhaps?
Oh yeah, please.
when God give me a possibility to do anything, and I can't do, for example, yeah, he will, as a daddy, he will try it again. You can do it. Then he will give me the same task again, for example, or he will say, "Okay, no, it doesn't make any sense. Come, live it, and let's play football, whatever. Let's
Or
make another task or
exactly,
whatever,
beautiful. Yes, well, very well
like
said.
that."
Or possibly, I'll just kind of add on to what you just said. Or possibly he'll use that task that was impossible to teach you or make you stronger for another task later.
Okay, in any way it makes sense, and in one point, if he is almighty, in that case, still there's small logical problem, because if he knows from the beginning what is your end, why you're living, you know what I mean? Better is to throw the people away. Okay, you got it, you don't get it, you will. Let's try once again, and the rest I will try to throw to hell, and the rest I will take to my heaven.
Okay.
Or to my paradise or whatever.
So
Better to create one small heaven on earth, in my eyes, than rather than to
so you're saying
let the people suffer. You know.
you're saying then that it's better to create a world where we don't have free will and everything is just good automatically.
Yeah, the people who can do it. So in your class, you took this example. If you take your class where you was taught by your teacher, take the 10% which are the best, yeah, the level best people. I will grab them, and these people I will throw on the earth, and the rest they will go to hell.
Well, if
Wouldn't be a better idea?
no, because then the ones that are going to hell will say to God, "You're not just. You didn't give us the opportunity to try like the other ones." So Allah uses this part of our
Yeah,
judgment.
but you know the destiny. You know.
Yeah, I know.
The point
Yeah,
is,
I
you
know.
know the
He
destiny.
knows. He knows, but we don't know our destiny. That's the point. See, on the day of judgment, Allah provides us with the outcomes of our deeds. Like He will show us everything we did, and that will be the evidence for us failing or passing. So when we say, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, those who don't make it to paradise, say, "Oh God, I didn't do this. I tried. I did." Allah will say, "No, look, you already took your test and you failed. You had the opportunity to do it this time and you didn't. And my ruling is just. I don't punish people before they do their misdeeds." The teacher who fails all the 90% of the students and passes 10% before the class even starts is an unjust teacher. And that teacher is not allowing the students to be elevated to the proper position they deserve by going through it and earning at least that form of elevation. So as we go through this life, if we earn it, if we pass the test, then we have earned Allah's mercy to elevate us above all creations. Otherwise, we're just like every other creation that God made. So Allah gave us the opportunity and we accepted. Before this life, our souls, our beings, our existence, pre-existed this life, and we agreed as mankind to take on this challenge so that we can be elevated, knowing full well that we can in fact make the right choices and find the truth. So knowing that Allah is just, knowing that Allah provides for us the means and abilities for us to succeed, we took on the challenge so that we do succeed and are elevated to the highest point. Those of us who choose not to fall back, it is our choice. Is that clear?
No, still complicated, but in any way I understand what you mean.
Okay. It's
Still
it
not
may be complicated, but
100%
it is
clear, but
understandable.
it's complicated, really. It's understandable, yeah, I'm with you. But
Let's simplify it very, very much. Let's simplify it very, very easily. Do you make your own
okay.
choices or not?
I think so, yes.
There you go. You make your own choices. Now, are there things that happen to you that are out of your control or not?
Some things yes, some things not.
Of course. But you said you had children. Did you have control over whether they were boys or girls?
No.
Okay, so I'm just using a quick example, right? But how you raise them is your choice, right?
A part of it. Yeah.
Exactly, that's the whole point. Is part of it is your choice, part of it is not your choice. There are things in your control, there are things outside of your control. That's the whole point.
Exactly.
You are held responsible for the things that are in your control. That's your test. The outcome of it, the knowledge of that test, is like the child going across the monkey bars. Your knowing has no effect on whether they can or cannot, or they will or will not. Your knowing if they will or will not, or can or cannot,
Please,
has
once
no
again,
relevance to what they
last
do.
question.
I said that.
Can you repeat, please, the
Sure.
last
The
sentence?
example, your knowing about the child crossing the monkey bars in the park has no effect, your knowing whether they can or cannot, or if they will or will not, if they choose to or will not choose to, but knowing their character even, has no effect on the outcome, has no effect on their choice to try and whether they will succeed or not. Your knowledge has no effect, they're disconnected. That is how Allah's knowledge about us has no effect on what we actually choose. He has allowed for us perfect free will in our choices. And He holds us accountable to the things that we can control. That is out of the mercy of Allah. Fair?
Okay, so it's yeah.
So just to simplify,
Okay,
there are things you control, there are things you don't control. The knowledge of the outcome of any of those things has nothing
still
to do with
complicated. Still complicated. But in any case, I understand you, and still I'm struggling in the point of beginning and end of life. You know, still this is still one.
Well, tell you what. Have you read the Quran? Have you read the Quran?
I read the Quran, but it's I think 10 years back.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
I advise
very long
you.
back.
I advise you, with your questions in mind, to read the Quran, because there's multiple places in the Quran where the answers to these issues are given. So I would advise you look into it a little more. I think I made it as clear as I can. I don't know that. I hope that Allah.
In this point, you in any case, your examples were quite understandable and good for me.
Okay.
Quite to understand your point of view.
All right.
Therefore, thanks
Sure.
from my side.
It was a pleasure talking.
But
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I thought you were.
the Quran. I don't think that I want to read the Quran anymore, because it's a bit radical, and I read the Quran because of myself. I read it before, also 15 years back, and 10 years, 5 years later, I read it once again. But it was because of my relationship and so on.
Well,
then I read it properly, because first of all, I read it just to know the meaning, and the second time I was I put my concentration on some particular points, which were very ununderstandable for me, and I can't find. I put the conclusion it doesn't make any sense. The Quran don't make any sense
well.
for me.
Now that I've given you this perspective, I hope you've taken it and think about it. I didn't provide anything. I used maybe examples from my own. I came up with some examples to make the similarities.
For that, I'm very thankful.
But inshallah, that the knowledge I gave, like the opinions I gave, are from the Quran itself. So if you do decide in the future to pick up the Quran and read it again, look for those meanings and the answers to your questions. You will find them in the Quran, inshallah. So I wish you the best. I wish for you guidance. You are
can I ask one last question?
Yes, you absolutely. Yes.
One last question. I think it's 1 minute or so. It's not a big thing.
Go ahead.
Why in the Quran is so much violence?
Why in the Quran there's so much violence? I would ask you to be a little more specific, but generally, the Prophet.
Surah 9 is very full of it.
Surah 9 is specifically talking about a specific battle that took place. It's about the Battle of Badr, mostly. Surah 9, Surah At-Tawbah, it talks about the Muslims So the Muslims, I don't know, I'll just give you a quick history of the Prophet Muhammad. When he received revelation in Mecca, he remained under persecution in Mecca for 13 years. And he had to flee from Mecca to Medina, where he was accepted as a prophet and he became the leader. It wasn't until about roughly 2 years later where the permission was given to the Prophet, peace be upon him, to finally fight back against the Quraysh, who were the people of Mecca, his own tribe, who persecuted him, in order to take back what was theirs. The verse that allows the Muslims to fight back starts with udhina, which means permission has been granted. They actually wanted to fight back and get back what was theirs because they were kicked out of their homes, their property was taken, in many cases their families were enslaved or killed. They wanted to take back what was theirs, and the Prophet ﷺ would constantly respond, we have not been ordered, we have not been allowed. Then finally when the revelation came, أُذِنَ لِلَّذِينَ يُقَاتَلُونَ بِأَنَّهُمْ ظُلِمُوا. Permission has been granted to those who were fought that they were unjustly treated or that they were wronged. All right? And Allah is surely able to give them victory. All right? So permission was granted for them to finally go and take back what was theirs. Not to mention that the Muslims were still being persecuted by the Meccans at the time. So that's what chapter 9 starts with. It's talking about the first battle that takes place after that, right? And that's how it starts. Now the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, wasn't only a prophet and a messenger of God, like the Jesus figure that we see in the Bible. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was also a ruler, a leader, and he had to lead his nation and defend it from foreign powers that tried to annihilate them, in a sense.
Yeah, similar like any other prophet.
So many prophets are like that, yes. Not all of them, but many are. So he was a leader for his people, and he had to, it makes sense, I mean, any country in the world, I don't want to make reference to Germany and their history, but any country in the world.
Yeah, but no, it's similar, sense. Very similar.
Yes, it makes sense that any country
Muhammad
in the world would
83
have some kind of
wars.
Okay,
Why?
sure. Well, because
he put more wars than he was old. Many years he lived.
But I don't know about that I don't know that he had 83 wars. I don't think that's an accurate number. But regardless, even if it was,
robberies and so on.
Again, I'm not sure of the number. But even if I granted it, the situation the Prophet Muhammad was in, under his own persecution, was he had to go out and he had to spread Islam. But the spreading of Islam didn't happen by the means of the swords. The rule of Islam had to be safeguarded by the means of the swords. Okay, there's certain words and phrases I can't use on this app, so I'm trying to to word it properly.
Yeah.
But
no, I got it.
In Islam, justice needs to be implemented. Islam has to be given, but the people who are not Muslim do not have to take Islam. Hold on, I'm losing my...
Okay, then I don't want to disappoint you with your stream.
That's all right.
Thanks for your answers.
Absolutely. Pleasure talking to you.
Thanks a lot, and have a nice evening, and have a great stream.
Thank you.
I will listen from the down, okay?
Sure. Have a good one. Thank you for being respectful.
Okay.